everybody, welcome back to the Serpents Open May qualifier. This is the first qualifier for the summer final, and we are in round 3. I am joined by Spiff once again. Spiffy boy, please introduce our first player.
All right, starting over here on the left-hand side, spawning in as the yellow UEF player, it is SoulRipper 77. And he has opted to throw down a quick land factory after his starting 4 mexes here on Powderhorn Mesa, a short rush distance map. And Nite, why don't you go ahead and introduce his opponent?
His opponent spawning in blue, and with the faction of Aeon, it is our player from Russia, the man that we don't see a whole lot of, but has some impressive results. It is KENNI, plopping down a double land factory and making tanks so far, and doing some eco things, and already some, no, I was going to say some weird shenanigans with an engineer, but he's actually grabbing the expansion down south. Not a bad play. I actually like to see that, even though I don't tend to see it a whole lot from our top players, which is weird. I think it's a good play.
Meanwhile, SoulRipper's throwing down a third land factory and popping out nothing but MMLs for the moment. So I think this might end up being a commander push with the MMLs to support.
Yeah, there is no radar, which makes me think that A, he probably won't have too much mass for it early on, and B, he's probably going to want to wait until he gets to the center of the map, which is actually a very good thing for KENNI, because if SoulRipper saw that there's an expansion going down to the bottom of the map, he would have sent those mobile missile launchers there a long time ago. I don't like this move out blind from KENNI, although it's not super blind because he has a radar, but the problem is he doesn't know what his opponent is doing, and that's what I mean by blind, is because he doesn't know what this is. This could be a double air factory for all he knows.
Yeah, absolutely. That Aeon radar just isn't going to cover the main base.
Yeah, he's going to build a forward radar again. I don't like this play at all. It wastes your research or resources, and I know I see the map and I know what's coming towards him, but it also puts him at a disadvantage in terms of units. There's no factory, which now I think he just barely sees those units making their way forward. Abandons the radar right away, or maybe that was a mistake actually. I don't think.
Yeah, I think that was a micro mistake.
Yeah, there's some shenanigans going on, but now he sees it. SoulRipper sees the radar as well, and that radar is going to die very quickly to those mobile missile launchers. There's a whole lot of tanks here from SoulRipper, and with micro can change a whole lot of things, but this is a good micro from SoulRipper and KENNI here. ACU's getting focused down. This might actually be a draw.
Looks like KENNI is starting to target fire tanks down
Yeah,
now.
that's not a good plan. It's not a good plan at all. KENNI is in the red here. All SoulRipper has to do is move his tanks forward instead. The game's going to continue. And, if this happens, oftentimes what happens is we get a little bit of a stalemate for a few moments. But there are mobile missile launchers for SoulRipper. He still have health, so he's okay to push here, I think. There's still no third land factory from KENNI, which is very, very troublesome. No point defense either. All of that, all of those resources are going towards building economy, which is not what you want to be prioritizing right now.
Yeah, and his engineer in the south was sitting idle there for a few minutes as well while he microed in the center.
Factories are paused. I mean, a point defense won't do any good at this point because there's so many mobile missile launchers out in the field. Yeah, and this is very rough for KENNI. Maybe a little bit of those stream jitters. I don't know if we ever cast KENNI before. I know he played in a couple of tournaments, but
I'm not sure offhand. And he does not have an engineer nearby to heal his ACU, which is a big issue right now.
Ooh, SoulRipper's commander is actually taking a lot of damage here. There's an engineer there for SoulRipper so he can heal his commander. The shield is still holding strong for KENNI. This isn't the most terrible of progressions here, but now I think SoulRipper saw... Wait, he still hasn't seen that expansion because he still has no radar, Spiff.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't take much to deal with that expansion, just a few tanks down there.
One mobile missile launcher will just tear it apart. Or 2 tanks, like... There's absolutely nothing there.
First.
Yeah. And I think that engineer and that commander are just out of range. And if there is a way that KENNI wins this match, is if SoulRipper continues to be hesitant and doesn't scout that expansion. But it looks like KENNI is being a little too adventurous here, losing a lot of his tanks here, and I think SoulRipper can just push this out at this point.
Might need a little more healing down on his commander first.
Yeah, I don't know why those mobile missile launchers aren't pushing more forward. I mean, that's just... it's so delicious up there, just a couple of meters up.
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity for some hotkeys.
Yep, and SoulRipper doing what Mr. Steal Your Girl has been preaching for 7 years now, is taking that yummy yummy mass. Making Mr. Steal Your Girl proud. KENNI, however, is not doing that and building energy generators in the middle of nowhere. Prime targets for mobile missile launcher fire. Maybe that's his plan because he has plenty of energy generators right now. But who the heck knows? SoulRipper is going to go for a little bit of a flanking maneuver. And yeah, I like this from KENNI. Just move in if he's going to be doing that. His commander isn't super protected.
And it's got to be decisive about it, though.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, if he hesitates too much, then SoulRipper's just gonna flank.
Yeah,
he's not gonna be too worried.
Both players are kind of a little hesitant here.
Good split from SoulRipper. Sends a few units into the back.
Yeah, I like
brings
that
the
a
rest
lot.
back to defend.
And I don't think this is enough units from KENNI here to take out KENNI's ACU. Yeah, and KENNI's just starting to lose too much, even without, even with SoulRipper still not knowing about that expansion. There's still no radar.
Yeah,
oh,
I mean,
man.
If there's anything keeping KENNI in this game right now, it's that. Because he has a huge economy right now compared to SoulRipper. And if he can just take advantage of that by building more factories and actually catching up on the land force and not losing as much.
Hello, Novitrix. It's been a while since I've seen you around. Welcome back. Thank you for watching. It's a 5-minute delay, so hopefully you're still around to hear me say that. SoulRipper doing a great job here, harassing where he can. And he finally... No. He's going to realize that that base is there by moving his engineer over there to finally reveal it. Oh, man. That's too funny, man. Yeah, and I think... you know, I'm surprised that, okay, there, just as I was about to say, that I'm super surprised not to see P-Shields. The first P-Shield rolls off the line.
Well, it is going to take a little while, though, before those P-Shields really start making a big impact on the battle.
Yeah, I mean, there's mobile missile launchers for KENNI, so they're not going to do a whole lot. But, I mean, he's doing so much damage here with these flanks. He finally realized this expansion is there. He's going to get a crap ton of research off of this. KENNI is not even control keying those mass extractors. And he's up on land. So this is going to be pretty rough for KENNI, unfortunately. You know, I guess I don't think we cast him too much, but I've heard some really good things, and he has a pretty good record from what I remember, in terms of his win percentage and whatnot. But I think this is just oh, now Bada Boom's coming out, so You know, that is one way that he can still win it, is if he just hightails it for that teleport, of course, and snipes. But it's going to be difficult if SoulRipper is careful. Which, if I was SoulRipper, I would probably actually move that commander to the front with those P shields. But I think this is going to be rough either way for our Russian player.
Yeah. Well, SoulRipper still hasn't spotted out the expansions further to the south here. And while he did get a lot of damage done in the back, that raid did finally get cleaned up. And SoulRipper just now expanding off of his first 6 mass extractors, so you know, KENNI needs to find a way to leverage his economic advantage here to stay in this game.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's still possible for KENNI to come back, but it's going to be very tough, especially now that those demolishers are making their way across the map. And those P shields are going to keep stacking, so expansion or not, the research is going to start playing a huge role here. Oh, but if SoulRipper's MMLs get caught like that, might be a different story.
Oh, he turns them around and they keep taking fire.
Not a bad engagement from KENNI. I would love to see these players cycle their units a little bit just to make them a little more efficient. Yeah, those P shields are so irrelevant right now. They're actually a detriment to SoulRipper, taking up a little bit of production.
Yeah, they're just going down too fast.
Yeah, I'm surprised SoulRipper is playing so passively. I guess he's just playing really carefully, which I don't dislike.
I mean, he's got a really solid position here.
Those first demolisher shots have fired. I didn't see if it connected or not. A lot of KENNI's units are in yellow. Yeah, it looks like they are connecting somewhat, but there's maybe 1 demolisher, 2 demolishers, 3 demolishers in there. Ooh, those demolisher shots, and that's honestly when they're the most deadly, is when you don't realize that they're there. And you know, 2 or 3 demolishers can still do quite a bit of damage here. That point defense is putting in work though for KENNI, as another force here is gonna. It's not even a force. It's just all of SoulRipper's mobile missile launchers are gonna start flanking here. We really need to see teleport here quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's going to be enough resources for it, though, with energy generators going down. I mean, there are a few more scattered around, but
SoulRipper is like so concerned about these hidden expansions now. He just sent like 4 units up there just to check up on that. Does he still not have a radar? Oh, he has a radar on that forward factory. Oh, demolisher fire. Oof. KENNI, wake up!
ooh, I thought that was just going to be 1, but 2 popped.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. And KENNI doesn't have any shields to retreat through. He walks directly into demolisher fire, and that is going to be it, I believe, as that is just way too many units to deal with from our Aeon. Unless he has a magical teleport, but even then, I don't think he can snipe at this point.
Nah, he doesn't have enough.
Yeah, more factories are going down, but 1 factory is just got killed, so it's yeah, it's tough from here.
That was a pretty good teleport onto the mobile missile launchers, but how much good is it really going to do at this point?
Not much. I think SoulRipper can just end this game. He's playing super carefully. I think thinking there might be teleport, but at this point there's honestly not even that many units on the field. He could just split his. There's the teleport, by the way. It's not going to be enough. SoulRipper is also expecting it. Could also bring your ACU into that comp. Like, it's not gonna overreacting to this teleport, I think. if there is one way that Kenny could potentially come back is if SoulRipper overreacts, sending all of his army back, and Kenny somehow managing to get a few tanks, at which point he can really start teleporting around.
That's not what we're seeing, though. SoulRipper is sending a good chunk of his army back to the main base of Kenny to hunt for that ACU. Kenny did sneak a few units into the back of SoulRipper's base that have not yet been addressed. SoulRipper's just now turning some units back to deal with that.
Yeah, not bad from Kenny. Micro, I think he just lost the micro war, honestly. SoulRipper is so good with micro. It's honestly sometimes kind of crazy. And I think SoulRipper is one of those players that doesn't play enough, but it can absolutely be one of the better players in this league. He used to be above 1300 MMR for a really long time, even not playing league or mini tournaments. So it's very impressive. Very impressive from SoulRipper. I've played him a couple of times. He's definitely a really good player, and a player that doesn't just exploit one faction, but is actually good with multiple factions and is able to utilize multiple strategies. So really hoping to see more of him.
I think you have to be a pretty good player to see this kind of success with UEF.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just my bias sneaking in. Frickin' UEF, so difficult to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really bias. It's absolutely the truth. Kenny does call GG, and that is going to be game 1. Game 2 is going to be on another desert map. Can you guess which one? Yes, you can. Of course, it's going to be Etched Desert. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Spiff, joining Night of Misfortune, bringing you Game 2 once again here on Etched Desert, as all of our Game 2s apparently have to be now. New rule in the tournament that was not previously published. But this is Game 2 of our Round 3 match, and I'm going to throw it over to Night of Misfortune to introduce our first player. Night?
All right. Introducing the player to the bottom right hand of Etched Desert. It is our yellow commander, blending in into the map quite nicely. It is SoulRipper 77, spawning in as the UEF commander and plopping down only one air factory, sending his engineers to the top and the bottom, and doing that strategy that I mentioned a couple of casts ago, opening up with an engineer first from that air factory, and actually not building, nope, he's building something from it. But anyway, who is his opponent? Mr. Spiff.
All right, over here on the other side of the map, spawning in as the blue Aeon commander, we have Kenny, who has done kind of more of a standard build on this map, which is a 2 air factory opening, and he's sending that first scout out now, and just sticking with his original 2 engineers, but he is sending those guys out to expand, or maybe, yeah, okay, so he's going for the far expansion with both engineers. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's not bad, especially if he sends his ACU down. But I would actually flip that in that case, send the ACU up and the 2 engineers down. But anyway, it's okay. I would still prefer to open up with an engineer on this map. I think you can, and I think that's what SoulRipper is thinking here. Is he's gonna forfeit air, he's gonna lose air here. He can keep it safe too, just not fight, and he's gonna be okay. And then play for his. I was going to say SoulRippers, but they're called Terrors for UEF. And, win that late game. Of course, he has to be mindful of teleport, but that's more of a late game scenario. Actually, he wins out in that scout war in the bottom right. So that's already a big win for him.
He's still way behind on air, though, and I do believe he lost his scout somewhere, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost his scout up front, but honestly, you just want to try and keep it as even as you can, because he's playing eco, right? The difficult part here is protecting this expansion now, and Kenny absolutely has to do what he's doing right now. Hopefully he'll bomb that engineer, because yeah, you have to, when you have air advantage, you have to shut it down. Shut down the expansions, that is. And yeah, I like this so far from Kenny. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. And that's actually making SoulRipper kind of reconsider expanding. And that is actually pretty bad. Pretty bad for SoulRipper. I would start throwing down anti-air towers at this point. I'm not sure what he's doing right now.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be too hard for him to catch up on air, but he might just need to catch up on air before he does any more significant expansions.
Yeah, and KENNI just doing a wonderful job here. Does have to be a little careful with the air. Oh, if he loses this, I think it's game over, honestly.
SoulRipper has managed to sneak a scout in over the main base of KENNI.
KENNI does have a star upgrade, so this might be okay if only he had those reinforcing planes in the back. You know, this is going to be an even-ish trade, so it's not terrible, but of course it favors the player who's gone eco. Yeah, it's an even-ish trade. I would say SoulRipper comes out on the air fight and obviously on the build order here as a result, plus all the free mass down there.
Oh yeah, he's got an engineer not too far away from it. He's going to want to come back over and rebuild this mass extractor anyways.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for KENNI. That's not the engagement you were looking for. And I think the ledge came into play there a little bit, really not letting him retreat as efficient as he could have. And you do have to be careful. And I think that's what SoulRipper was actually banking on, because that was intentional, him sending the engineer that way. Because normally the engineer would path over that little mountain in the bottom, but he intentionally sent it below, and that engineer lives. Which, who cares about the mass extractor? Even if for some reason KENNI got away with all his air there, the engineer is what matters.
Yeah, definitely. Because that engineer can build so much resource gathering that is going to pay for itself over and over and over.
Yeah, and as a result, all this mass is going to pay for that mass extractor all by itself. So KENNI is in trouble here, still only on 2 air factories. His expansion is actually not going as great as it could. He miscalculated his resources. He's only on 2 energy, which is actually what I think he is struggling with right now, because this many mass extractors should support that just 2 factories. So I think he's good on mass. So a little bit of a build order deficiency. And again, I really think you got to play this as a macro map as opposed to a micro map, because there's so many places that you can get caught on this map doing micro on all these ledges. Even if you're the most wonderful air micro player, you can air can be wild. So you gotta protect yourself in the long run and build up that eco like SoulRipper is doing.
Yeah. SoulRipper's got more factories now than KENNI does. Sending another engineer down here to rebuild this mass extractor and hopefully suck up all of that mass. Really just almost his entire side of the map at this point is filled in.
Yeah.
And only about half of KENNI's side is filled in. So huge eco advantage for SoulRipper here, and he's comfortable to just sit back and build up his air force at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some research generators go down as well.
Yeah, the one downside, of course, of UEF is that you can't outright finish the game right now because you still have to build wasps. You can't bomb, obviously, on the other side of the map. So if KENNI, and honestly, that's I think that gives like such a prime opportunity to an Aeon player to just expand like no tomorrow. And I think KENNI just missed out on a build order potential here against UEF. Because now UEF is up on air, UEF is on eco, and UEF is up on research most likely. Of course, I'm not quite sure, but I would be guessing that SoulRipper got quite a bit of research from that air engagement as well. He's building land factories up there. I don't like how far back it is, but who cares? It will protect the mass extractors back there if it gets a shield. And I think he's just going to sit back and wait for a terror. Maybe artillery if he wants to be really cute, but
And sure enough, he is dropping that research station there. So yeah, he's gonna have to look for the tech switch no matter what.
Yeah.
The question is just what's he gonna go into.
Third air factory just barely being dropped by KENNI up in the north. ACU just barely moving down south to start expanding. So yeah, this is... I mean, I don't really see many positives for our Aeon here. I mean, yes, flares and shields will do a lot here, especially if our UEF player doesn't go that route himself. He is not grabbing stars, so the planes are going to be stronger for Aeon here, especially with those two key upgrades. But is still, the numbers are important as well, so it's going to be rough for KENNI, but we'll see. He's definitely not out of it yet. He has to expand. He has to build at least 2 more air factories, and then we can see. Because after all, SoulRipper is barely getting his 4th air factory as well, so it's not totally out of hand.
Not yet. We do see MMLs popping out of that land factory in the north, though.
Yep, and that's not the scariest of things again because of those that dual purpose Sweetiebath, but it does pose a it's a positional risk. It's a positional risk for that air because it's going to have to be positioned down there, which opens up himself to bombing runs down in the south. And it's an added element to deal with, but I wouldn't say it's a game ender necessarily. But enough of these small factories, and yeah, it definitely could be.
Another research station going down for SoulRipper, so I think we are going to see him go into AC-1Ks at some point. He's got another air factory queued up as well, so despite this one land factory in the north, I think that's really just for harassment forces, just little groups that he can send in and not really care if he loses.
At this point, I think it might be a air fortress, because I think it's been enough time for him to go to get those gunships. And we do see bombers coming out, which is another kind of indicator, and more land factories or air factories being plopped down. So I think this might be an air fortress, because he's not taking his air either.
Yeah, very well could be. He's got a lot of tech choices right now that could win him the game, to be honest.
A couple of tournament updates. Foxtermelon defeated his nemesis Vanity 2-0. And an interesting result, Magenra 1-1 tie with Iron Commander. So a couple of maybe not super surprising results, but definitely notable results. As Magenra, I think, remains our number 1 player in this tournament right now, most likely, but we'll see.
So those bombers are starting to do a little bit of work out there.
Yep, and that's again, he's gonna start poking and prodding and pulling the Aeon to the other side, and trying to get an even better engagement than he already has with his superior numbers.
Another air factory. We do see a bunch of energy generators going down for SoulRipper. So I mean, that does indicate that he wants to get some sort of experimental, I think, but we have not seen the gantry yet.
Well, let's see what else it could be. I mean, Nuke would probably not be the smartest choice in this map, be having such spread out locations, but it's never a bad choice.
It was taking off a long time to get there, though.
Yeah, I don't think it's a nuke. It might be artillery, but again, I don't think it's artillery. I don't think it's a terror at this point. That's just too long for a terror. You really want to start spamming them out earlier.
I think he might just be going for just normal air spam. No experimentals.
That could also be true.
He continues to add on more and more and more air factories.
Yes, but after like 8 or 9 air factories, I think it becomes more efficient to go for a fortress, I think. But I don't know. I forget what the numbers were on that. There's an air engagement here in the center of the map on just beyond that red ledge there. A lot of the blue planes are sitting in one spot here, and there's a whole lot of yellow here. And I think Kenny's in trouble here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of these planes are going down.
Yep, and that is probably going to be a deciding factor here as Kenny does call GG. And SoulRipper, not terribly comfortably, but, you know, comfortably enough, sails through round 3 to get the 2-0 win. And he's still positioned relatively well. I think he'll probably be in the top 5 after this win. So we'll see how he does. We have 2 rounds remaining. Again, we're going to come back maybe with another round 3 match if we can get into one. But if not, we'll see you in round 4. We'll be... If you're still watching, give a thumbs up to this video. If you liked the video, leave a comment. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you are blown away by it, check out my Patreon page. This has been Nite. Take care and peace out.